Hello, welcome to Grow Up on Purpose with Dr. Tamika Johnson. I'm just checking in to see how you guys are doing before my client comes. Hold on 1 minute. Oh, there you go. How you doing? I pray all is well with everyone. I won't be before you guys very long, but I know I have not been really consistent with my videos, but I just want to stop by and say to see how you guys are doing. I want to stop by just to see what's been going on and tell you a little bit about what's been going on with me. Again, I've been spending most of my time resting. However, listen to One Love by Houdini. I just want to see how you guys are doing. I know some of you miss my face when you don't see me upload a video, but I'm just coming on here to just give you guys a short word of encouragement. So my word for today, it says that the Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and your going, both now and forever. I want to talk about the importance of protecting your peace. I say this often, that you have to protect your peace at every cost. Every time I get to talking about protecting your peace, I'm a little bit longer than I expected. I do not expect this video to be very long, but I want to talk about protecting your peace at every cost. That means sometimes you have to you have to compromise, you have to surrender, you have to let go your ego. Sometimes your ego always wants you to be right. Your ego does not want you to experience what some may say a loss, a L, take a loss or L. But there are times when you are protecting your peace. You can't worry about things that really don't matter. Um, I've been speaking on the importance of maintaining your mental health. And I know some of us misconstrue the terminology mental illness with mental health. And sometimes when we misconstrue the definitions of, mental health, mental illness, people neglect their mental health. And so I just wanted to really talk about the difference between having a mental illness and maintaining your mental health. Everyone has a brain, everyone has a mental, and that's where your thought process take place. That's where your thinking takes place. That's where your imagination take place. And so everyone must learn to manage their mental health. And so that's for everyone. Now, you do have people who also experience mental illness. Now, that's totally different than just maintaining your mental health. But we do want to be sensitive to those who may be experiencing a mental breakdown or those who may be experiencing some form of crisis with mental illness. So we want to really just be mindful of those people, and for us also to maintain our, be conscious of maintaining our own mental health, being mentally fit. I talk about it all the time: exercising your brain, exercising your mind, taking a mental break when necessary, taking emotional break when necessary, learning how to resolve conflict without being violent, you know but all of that takes practice. And I know in our community, there has been an outcry about those who are committing crimes. And some people say that, people are committing crimes because of just the bad choices they make. And I believe that, yeah, some of it is bad choices, but I don't think bad choices are learned behavior. And so bad choices also come from not maintaining your mental health. You just, when your mind becomes so cluttered, Your rationale, all rationale deteriorates. All rationale deteriorates. And what that means that you begin to behave irrational. And if you don't have the proper, the proper care to or the proper resources to maintain those things, it turned into violence. Some of that stuff turned into violence. Some of that stuff turned into self-destruction. And unfortunately, when we ignore mental health in our community, it leaves the door open for innocent people to become victims, right? And so I think it's very important for us if we educate ourselves on what it means to be mentally healthy, right? Being healthy mentally, being mentally fit, what does it mean when we speak about our mental well-being, you know and so with all the pressure, all the stress that's going on in today's world, like we're still in the middle of a pandemic. We've been in this pandemic since 2020, right? And some people just don't know how to deal with the frustrations, right? And so I want us to really think about, taking time to cope with our mental distractions, cope with, we find ourselves becoming anxious or depressed, that we begin to find the proper resources or the proper outlets to relieve some of that stress. So I really want us to really focus on resetting ourselves, resetting our minds, um, resetting how we feel about other people who do things that we wouldn't necessarily do, right? Um, um, and probably hold our tongues on what we put out in the atmosphere about other people, because again, we, mental illness is really a crisis in America. I mean, you think about it, we have people who have been traumatized for many years. Um, they have been traumatized by, institutional trauma, traumatized by institutions, traumatized by family members, traumatized by the events that goes on, the events that go on in this country, traumatized by racism, traumatized by discrimination. Those things have effect on people. When people don't properly compartmentalize those things, it does turn into destruction. And so I really believe that it's time for all of us to take hold on the crisis that's going on in America, become informed ourselves. So we're not just spewing out information that's not factual, or we're not speaking things out of our emotions that can affect somebody else. We're not creating an atmosphere of dysfunction ourselves. Some people, as sane and functional as you believe you are, some of the words that we speak shows otherwise. So we want to make sure that we stay sensitive to the feelings and the emotions of other people who may be suffering in silence and may not let the world know what they're going through. But let's begin to change the way we speak about mental health, mental illness, so those around us will feel comfortable going to see a therapist. They will feel comfortable seeking resources in the community. They will be comfortable even getting help through a coach that's coaching them through the process of how to compartmentalize their emotions, their behaviors, things like that. So I want us to just take a mental break if you have to. Turn the TV off, turn the radio off, turn social media off, and take care of yourself. Take a mental break, because nobody is exempt from having a mental breakdown if you're allowing yourself to be mentally bombarded with information, mentally bombarded with stress, and so we all can experience some type of form of mental breakdown, right? Statistics is showing that because during the pandemic, women and children are suffering from anxiety and depression. Yeah. And the suicide rate is actually increasing. So I just want to encourage all of my followers, all of my grown-ups, to make a decision to grow up on purpose. And grow up on purpose means what? To grow up and take a stand, take control of your life. Grow up empowerment. These short videos that I make, or these videos I make, are to empower you to do what's best for you, right? The goal is for you to become the best version of yourself, and you cannot be the best version of yourself if you're neglecting some part of you. Make sure that you're taking care of your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, as well as your spiritual health. And in closing, I just want to just wish you all the best. Take time to reset, renew your mind, meditate on the Word of God, play music to relieve yourself from the everyday stressors of life, right? If you have not purchased my book, Coping with Mental Stress from a Practical Perspective, please do so. It's actually a short read. It's a short read. It's 93 pages. And if you look in it, it's not a whole lot. The words are large enough. It's very reader friendly. I wanted to give you guys some impactful information, but in a short and sweet form. I wanted you guys I want this book to be very informative, but I want it to be practical. I want that when I say practical, I mean that the everyday person could read this book and grasp some tools that they can use and apply in their everyday life. I wanted the everyday person to be able to read this book and be able to relate to some of the stories that I talk about in this book. I wanted the everyday person to be able to take this book and share it with someone who may not know how to manage their mental health. Some people are great at managing their mental health. Some people are great at saying, no, I can't do this today because I'm tired and I'm resting. Some people are good at, shutting the door and closing everybody else out, but a lot of people are not. And what happens is you become bombarded, right? You become bombarded. It's the part in here that I talk about the mind deteriorating. And so you ask yourself, what does it mean that the mind deteriorates? I actually want to find that part. I remember what chapter I put that in. I can't find it. Friends, how many of us have them? So what happens when your mind deteriorates? You are not able to rationalize. You become very negative, and you begin to let the negative thoughts that you think overtake you. And the only thing that can come from a mind that's deteriorated is self-destruction or the destruction of other people. So when you begin to notice people talking differently, you notice people that usually are vocal becoming silent, begin to speak to them, allow them the opportunity, allow them room to speak and express themselves. It's time for us to not take over the conversations. I know I have a habit of taking over conversations because I talk a whole lot. And so sometimes we have to be quiet and be silent and allow people that usually won't vocalize their feelings and emotions to do so. Because in this season, people are stressed, people are tired, people are really, really, really going through. And so, with that being said, let's take time out to think about our loved ones. Let's take time out to care about other people, because people are suffering in silence. People that we wouldn't even imagine are suffering in silence. That's just the reality of it. People are, contemplating suicide. People that we wouldn't even think, they begin to think about life being this just too much for them right now. And that's because when we take things out of perspective, that's what happened. Again, we have to respect other people's perspective, but at the same time, we want to give them helpful information. Sometimes we like to tell people, oh, you'll figure it out, or you'll get it, or you just having a bad day. Well, sometimes that bad day can be the day that a person decides to take their own life. And so we have to be open to give people information. We have to be open to share resources with those, when we hear people speaking misinformation about a topic, it's for us, if we have the correct information, to share it with them in love. And so I just came on Grow Up Empowerment, Grow Up on Purpose, just to see how everyone is doing and just share this little information with you guys. Feel free to contact me on my social media platforms, Dr. Tamika Johnson. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Tamika.Johnson.10, or you can find me on Instagram at Grow Up Empowerment. As well. You can also find me at Grow Up Empowerment Life Coaching on Facebook as well. Or visit my website at www.growupempowermentlifecoaching. Uh, yeah, www.growupempowerment.com. That's my website. And feel free, book an appointment with me. I am taking clients globally. So that means most of the time, if I'm taking clients globally, that's virtually or by phone. And so most of my clients have been virtual lately. And so I'm taking new clients virtually as well as in person. So feel free to to contact me at www.growupempowerment.com. And if you have not, please purchase this book on Amazon. I promise you the information in here is short but sweet. The information in here is very important, informative, and very needed. I mean, when I wrote this book, the whole purpose of me writing this book was it helped me during the time I was dealing with COVID, feeling like I had the world on my shoulder. And one mental management that I use, or mental technique that I use, is I write, I express, I put my thoughts on paper. I go back and read and I reflect. I do a lot of those. So that's one thing that you can do one technique that you can use to cope when you're coping with anxiety, or you coping with depression. Journal your thoughts, write your thoughts, and then take time that, later on, after you write your thoughts on a piece of paper, after you journal, go back and read it. Go back and read what you wrote. And when you read what you write, you're able to understand your thought process. You're able to visually see what you've been thinking about. You're able to put it in perspective. Like, this is what I've been thinking about. After you write it, like, this is how I've been thinking. And most of the time, when we find ourselves feeling anxious, we're actually worrying about things that have not happened. We're worried about things that we have no control over. And then when we become depressed, we probably oftentimes comparing our lives with someone else's life. We're also probably being hard on ourselves. We're also probably saying that, oh, I should be here in life and I'm not. But we have to be patient with ourselves. The same way that we're patient with other people, we have to be patient with ourselves. And so this was in my book, coping with mental stress from a practical perspective. It just gives you little tips. And I also put my favorite scriptures in here that I meditate on. Meditate on these things, you know. Meditate on things that are good. Meditate on things that you can handle. Meditate on your right now. Because most of the time we become anxious because we're thinking about the future. We become depressed because we're thinking about the past. But let's just live in the present for a moment. And once you begin to practice different strategies when you're going through different periods in life, it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit. And allow yourself time to break away from your work. Allow your time to break away from your family. Allow yourself to break away from everything that caused you to be negative. I was having a conversation with my husband today, and he began to bring up the situation. He's in the situation. And he began to bring up people who are doing this and people who's doing that. I had a conversation with my sister, and she said that she don't have a problem with this and that. And I said, you know what? Every time you begin to talk about those things, it takes me back to a space where I was negative. It takes me back to a place that I'm not trying to go. So I don't want to hear about it. And we have to be okay with shutting people down who bring out the worst in us. Okay, I had to tell him like this. You know their position on this situation. Why you keep rehearsing it? Why you keep going over it and over again? Why are you steady focused on it? This is their position. You cannot change other people's position, but you can change your position. And my position is this: let people live, do what they do. I don't have to invite negativity to my house. I don't have to invite negativity into my sphere of influence. I can love a person from a distance. I don't have to communicate with people. You can cut people off if those people you feel like those people bring negative vibes or negative stressors in your life. You have the right. You have the right to set boundaries. There's nothing wrong with setting boundaries. And I think that's a lot of times our anxiety and depression and all that because we are afraid to set boundaries. We can set boundaries with family members. We can set boundaries with our parents. We can set boundaries with our siblings. We can set boundaries with our children. We can set boundaries with our jobs. We can set boundaries with whoever we want to set boundaries with because they are necessary. And what happens is you deal with a whole lot of mental stressors when you don't set boundaries. And so I'm just at a point in my life where I tell myself, you just have to set boundaries and you have to know what usually causes you to be mad. Don't enter into those conversations. If talking to certain people leave you feeling angry or frustrated or sad or depressed, then you may need to stop having conversations with those people, or you may need to have different conversations with those people. But it's okay to cut people off because some people don't respect your boundaries. Some people don't know what triggers you. And so you have to make choices that you're okay with. You have to be okay with people that were in your life at a certain period may not be in your life in the future. You have to be okay with that. We all grow. That's why I'm really big on grow up on purpose. You have to grow up on purpose. You have to be intentional about your own growth. You have to be intentional about your own growth. Nobody is going to grow for you. You have to grow for yourself. And if that means that I can't communicate with these people anymore because they cause me to backslide or cause me to behave and speak a certain way, then you have to make that choice. And you have to learn to live with the choices that you make. And so I'm okay with cutting people off. I'm okay with cutting situations off. And we have to be fine and know that we can't take everybody to everybody can't come with us in every season. And we think about when God told Abraham to leave your father's house and all your family and go where I'm sending you. Because sometimes family members can be a huge distraction to what God is doing in our lives. Family members can hold us to um, standards and expectations that God don't hold us to. And so we have to be okay with um, taking care of ourselves, making choices that fit, that's best for us, and not being afraid to live with those choices. And so, yeah, I just want to get on here just to encourage you to grow up on purpose, be intentional, be grown ups. Be intentional about the things that you are allowing in your home, the things you are allowing in your space, the phone conversations that you are allowing. Some people may think I'm mad at them, but I'm not mad. I just can't deal with your energy. When people put a negative vibe, I don't want that in my life. And so I chose on purpose to alleviate those, to execute those people, to get them out my life for life. And we have to be okay with just, setting boundaries. I can love people, but I can love them from a distance, right? And so we have to know what works for us. what worked for us, and what works for us may not work for everybody. So you guys be encouraged. Contact me if you need to. Um, and remember, start journaling, start making decisions that's best for you. Don't be anxious for nothing. Trust that God has a plan for you, and His plan for you is great. It may not be what you're used to. The plan God has for you may not be at the job that you used to being at for 20 plus years. The plan that God has for you may not be in the city that you were born or you live in. We have to not be afraid to move forward. We cannot be afraid of growing up. We cannot be afraid to make the changes that we need to make to better ourselves, to better our mental, to better our physical, to better our spiritual, to better our whole being, right? And so I thank you on today for listening. Like, share. If this blessed you, if this video, the words, any words that I spoke blessed you, share it with somebody else. We are called to be a blessing to everyone else. And I just want to know, I might be on here next week. I'm not sure. But when I find myself needing rest, that's what I do. I've been making a decision to rest when I need to. And that's just it. So thank you guys for growing up on purpose with Dr. Tamika Johnson. I will see you guys either next week or the week after next. I will be putting videos up. But if you need to contact me, leave a message in the comment section. And God bless you.